The story begins with our hero getting teleported to another world and checking out a rather shady game screen, which gives him intrusive abilities. He is amazed by this display and says that he has some great luck. He realizes that if he is actually able to use this skill, then he can finally satisfy all his desires. The rest of it is up to the girl who is in front of him and is supposed to be some kind of princess. He touches the screen and mocks the princess for being a useless person who does not recognize the rights of people who have been summoned from another world. What follows is a deceitful tale. But before that, we need to learn exactly how our hero, Shinto, landed up here with such a curvy babe. We are told that a few hours ago, Shino was transported to this world to defeat the Demon King by becoming a hero. We can see that the princess is standing right in front of him with her knights, but she does not have a very friendly look on her face. Shino then learns that there is a skill system which is granted to the heroes of this world. There are 10 skills in total, but only 3 of them are awakened upon the summoning ritual. The rest of the skills can only be obtained once the hero takes part in explorations and battles. As of now, Shino has been given the 3 skills of character introduction, perfect counter, and otherworldly transfer. The first 2 are easy to understand because the names kind of speak for themselves. As we can see, introduction of a character would mean some kind of appraisal skill, while the perfect counter could be used to knock out your opponent. The third one, though, is a bit difficult for him to understand, and from the looks of the screen in front of him, Shino can say that he will not be able to go back to Japan anytime soon. In the middle of all this, the princess is saying something to him, but he is not able to follow her at all. This is way too much for him to understand all at once, and he wonders if he should try one of his skills for this. He is only pretending to listen to the princess, as learning about his skills is the top priority. Anyway, he decides to completely ignore the princess, and then whips out his skills. He is going to start with character introduction, and we'll see how the princess responds to it. He uses it on the princess and learns that her name is Alicia Kusla. She may look cute, but the appraisal skill shows her true form, even though she is the second princess of the kingdom. It turns out that she does not like demi-humans, beast men, or even people from other worlds. She does not consider people like Shino to be human and seems to enjoy the pain of such people, thus establishing her as a shady princess. Our hero also learns that Alicia likes to exploit heroes and uses them as tools to get her work done. She had used the summoning ritual on him with ill intentions and is already hoping for him to meet a cruel end once he serves his purpose to her. Shino realizes that he is dealing with a royal family member who likes to stab people in the back, so this is not some kind of fantasy adventure he would enjoy. He needs to be serious around her, otherwise it will not end well for him. At first glance, Shino can sense that Alicia's men also share the same opinion as her, so he will remain in danger as long as he is in her custody. Our hero begins by asking Alicia to return him to his own world, but as expected, she has no such intention at all. She goes on to tell him that once a hero has been summoned to this world, he can't go back to his original world unless he gets rid of the demon lord first. Shino can't believe this, but Alicia tries to act cute and says that it is just how the hero summoning ritual works. She continues to act in front of Shino and says that it is completely normal for him to feel nervous upon being randomly summoned to another world. The princess then says that she will take Shino to a place where he can calm himself, and the bright smile on her face confuses him a bit. He finds her to have good manners, and he can't seem to sense any kind of ill will from her. That's when it strikes him that his first skill could be giving him false information about Alicia. After all, he should not just trust a random skill so easily when he has just been transported to a world that he knows nothing about. He decides not to jump to any conclusions about the princess just yet because everyone seems to be treating him quite well. He also notices that Alicia is cute and curvy, but reminds himself that appearances have nothing to do with intentions, so he should just calm down his intrusive thoughts. Now, Shino is taken to a luxury room which has a table, modern seating, and a screen, which is a bit too advanced for this generation. Alicia decides to leave Shinto in the care of two of her slaves, and says that he can ask them for anything that he would like. Shinto asks Alicia if she has to go somewhere right now, and she explains that she needs to return to the royal palace at once. Basically, she has to inform the court and her father about the success of the summoning ritual. Once this is done, she can introduce our hero to the king of this land, so Shinto says goodbye to her. After she leaves, our hero decides to open the system screen and check if there actually is any way for him to go back to Japan. Since he has the third skill of otherworldly transfer, Shin can perhaps try to direct the destination to himself. However, when he actually gives it a go, the system shows that the target location has been locked. Our hero figures that he should have expected something like this, and he realizes that he will need to defeat the Demon Lord first if he is to unlock the destination of Japan. After he takes a look at the system stats, Shinto wonders if he can use his powers on a person such as Alicia, because it would be very helpful for him to do so. After all, he will be able to control the second princess and make her do as he pleases. However, this would depend on a lot of things, and he still has a lot of questions that he would like to have answered. There isn't any time to worry about such things, so he decides to use his first skill on the slaves that have been chosen to serve him. The boy is 24 years old, and his name is revealed to be Roland Igal. He seems to be a young knight in the royal order, but the problem is that he has been taught about people from other worlds being monsters. The cute maid girl is Haran Torin, who is 28 years old. She serves Alicia, but has always been given the job to serve heroes who have been newly summoned to this world. What's worse is that she absolutely hates her job, which makes Shinto a bit concerned. He still wants to give the people of this world a chance, so he says that his skill might not be perfect. He also needs to learn more about the rest of his skills, so he summons the system once again to take a look at them. Once again, it's easy for him to understand the first two powers, but it's the third skill that still has him confused. He maintains the opinion that his character introduction skill has some kind of weakness, and he shows frustration upon not being able to figure how to use his otherworldly transfer skill. It could be that it will become easier to use with time, so Shimo will need to test it whenever he gets the chance. As per whatever he's learned about Alicia and her slaves, he can't really trust anyone around here, and he is all on his own for now. Some time passes by, and then our hero is asked to come along to meet the king of this land. He does as he is told, and soon enough, he is in front of King Kusla in the royal court. Shino uses his character introduction skill and learns that the king's real name is Rastoa. He is 50 years old and is actually a very normal king. He neither likes nor hates people who have come from other worlds, so he is neutral on the matter. Alicia is also there, standing next to her father, but she does not even want to look at Shino, probably because of her feelings towards humans from Earth. Now, the king takes this chance to thank our hero for coming here to save them, even though he was forcefully summoned. He also asks Shimo to lend the people of his kingdom the strength that would be needed to stop the Demon King. Shimo says yes to him like a good boy, but is amazed to see how the king even dares to ask such a difficult task from him. Now, King Rastoa says that even though the hero's duty is to defeat the Demon Lord, this does not mean that he has to set out on his mission immediately. This is a bit confusing to Shimo, so he asks for clarity, but even a simple question like this seems to annoy Alicia for no good reason. Now, the king tells Shino that he has not mastered the skills that are needed to defeat the Demon Lord. Basically, he will need to practice and hone these skills for 3 months, after which he can leave on his mission. The king asks Shino if this would be enough time for him, as there is no point in being a hero without any mastery of skills. At this rate, Shino won't even be able to beat the weakest monster in this world, so the king wants to assign a tutor to him. He then says that Shino can depart to defeat the Demon King only after the tutor approves of his training. Once again, our hero says yes, but he can't believe that he is being made to do military service, as if it is a given for him. He then tells King Rastoa that he is new to this world and does not understand anything about it. This is why it would make sense for him to be assigned a cultural tutor as well, and the king grants this request without any hesitation. Shino is asked to give it his best, and even though he does not wish to do this at all, he bows down and agrees to the king because it would only cause trouble for him to make a scene here. Later, we see our hero in his room, and he laments that he will have to wake up early for practice the next day. There's no use for him to pray either, because that will not work in a different world. As he prepares to get some rest, Shino still can't get over the fact that there are people in this world who are literally taught to hate people from other worlds. He does not like this line of thinking and complains that this world is not fun at all. So it is very different from the manga comics and anime that he used to consume in Japan. Since he can't really enjoy himself over here, Shino believes the better option would be to just find a way back home. The key to this could be his third skill, but then something unusual happens. Our hero gets an alert from the system which is asking him to save Alicia as a target. Shino realizes that the first skill must be getting linked to the third skill, and it can change its targets based upon the people that have been appraised. Now, Shino realizes that the princess and her slaves didn't even tell him anything about the 3 skills that were given to him. This could mean that they know what they are, but do not wish to disclose them to our hero. However, Shino figures that if this was the case, then they would have been a lot more cautious with him. After all, they would not want Shino to learn about Alicia's true intentions right from the start. Either way, one thing is for sure, and that is for the hero to defeat the Demon Lord. Basically, this means that if Shino were to lose his life before defeating the Demon Lord, then all of his efforts would turn out to be meaningless. On top of that, he does not even know how powerful his opponent will be, so he needs to learn a lot of things as fast as he can, especially when it comes to his skills. Since he has to master his third skill more than anything else, he will need to practice it on someone. Shino activates demon mode and says that the perfect target for him is the same person who summoned him here in the first place, meaning Princess Alicia herself. Of course, there's also the off chance that Shino's first skill may have given him false information, so he is in a tight spot. As he wonders what his next plan of action should be, he notices something odd once again on the system. It's a monitor that shows him Alicia speaking with someone else, which is a great thing for our hero, as he can now spy on the princess and see her true intentions. First of all, she asks the other person if Shino is behaving well, and is told that he is in his room. The discussions then move toward the next day, where we learn that Shino is going to be given a very hard time. Alicia really wants to bend him to her will as much as she can, and this is not good news for Shino. The two of them then talk about how our hero is essentially a monster who is hiding behind human skin, which is why they must make the most of him while they have the chance. Since his training program is for 3 months, the other person, who might just be Shino's mentor, asks Alicia if she will also travel with him once the program is done. Alicia then explains that she will have to do this as the hero is a good diplomatic tool which she can exploit. In order to keep the protection being offered by the Holy Kingdom, they need to prove their loyalty to it. This is why the princess believes that she will have to go along with Shino, even if she has to fake it. After all, she only looks at him as if he is a trash monster. But Shino does not appreciate such filthy words coming out of such a pretty face. He does not like the way she is speaking about him, so he wonders why she hates heroes so much. As he continues to watch the monitor, Shino sees Alicia taking her leave and getting excited about making Shino dance in the palms of her hand after he defeats the Demon Lord. This is cause for concern, because our hero did not anticipate any evil plans in store for him after defeating the Demon Lord. Now that he has seen all of this, he realizes that Alicia's cute looks and curvy body mean nothing if she has such evil intentions. This also proves that his first skill was right all along and reported the facts to him. Alicia is going to torture Shen after he gets the job done, thus cementing her as a truly awful princess. This doesn't bother him at all, but rather gives him relief because he can now unleash his own intrusive thoughts upon her without having to feel any kind of guilt. Now that he knows the truth about Alicia, our hero figures that it would be best to keep a constant eye on her. He can also safely trust all the other information his character introduction skill had told him before. He still circles back to his third skill, which is the otherworldly transfer. He does not understand what the system means when it says that the skill can transfer a designated target to another world. Suddenly, he gets a view of Alicia stepping into a steam room with a bath. At first, Shinto is a bit concerned, because he is looking at the princess in a delicate state. But then he realizes that he might as well make the most of his new spy cam. He continues to gaze at Alicia and her twin peaks, but then he remembers what she said about having to play nice with a monster for a month. Alicia even said that the mere thought of it made her want to puke, which is pretty insulting, especially to Shinto. He tells us that he would have actually felt guilty about this if he did not know that Alicia was such a filthy person. He will not turn the screen off, and will consider this as compensation for being kidnapped and forcefully summoned to another world. However, he must also keep in mind that this is a very serious situation, so he must not take it lightly. Our hero wants to use the third skill on Alicia, but he must wait till she is asleep. He wonders if he can try it while she's awake too, but it would make sense to play it safe for now. Soon enough, the princess goes to sleep, and this gives Shinto his cue. He summons the system and inputs some details such as the target destination and the items that Alicia will have with her. He has decided to send Alicia to Japan for a minute inside a secluded room where she can't escape. He also seems to do something shady about her equipment and items, after which he activates the third skill. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupts and surrounds Alicia while she is asleep. Shinto continues to watch what is happening as Alicia's body is lifted from the bed and then suddenly transported to another location, just as Shinto had wanted, and he can also see that she is in Japan, exactly like he had mentioned in the system. All of it seems to have gone well for our hero, but he does realize that there are no special conditions attached to this skill. The only thing it can do is add new targets. And then Shinto learns that he can also teleport these targets to any location of his choice. This gives him an idea, which is to transport Alicia to some jungle where she can be hunted down by lions and other wild beasts. Then, he learns that he can't use this skill in the middle of a battle, and it has other limits as well. This means that it won't be of much use against the Demon Lord. Even so, Shinto now knows that he has the ability to send someone to another world, including Japan. This gives him hope that he will be able to return to his original world at some point of time. Shinto continues to observe Alicia, and a minute passes by, so she comes back to the fantasy world. All of this has been as per his plan, but he notices that Alicia still does not have any and has instead landed on top of what she was wearing before getting transferred. This means that if Shinto were to teleport a target, any equipment that they will be wearing will simply stay behind, and not magically return to the body. This is contrary to what he had thought would happen when Alicia came back, so there is a lot he still has to learn. He wants to try something new, so he decides to send Alicia back to Japan, but only for a small fraction of a second. This time, he mentions that the equipment should be the clothes which she was wearing before. He activates the skill again, and within this fraction of a second, Alicia goes and comes back to her bed. But this time, she has her clothes on. This is good news for him, but then he realizes something else. Since Shinto has such a skill at his disposal, he could also use the system to equip his targets with tools that don't even exist. This could include imaginary tools or even legendary weapons. Shinto gives it some more thought and figures that this should not matter in any case. The problem will arise if he gives someone important equipment, only for them to later not have any use for him. This can fire back on him badly, so testing the skills with weapons would be a touch too risky for our hero. On top of that, if he were to use imaginary equipment, then it would be even more dangerous for him. Now Shinto gets an idea. he decides to get a bit serious about the skill he has just figured out. He enters some data into the system, and we can see some blind folds covering Alicia's eyes. This extends to her arms as well, and Shinto realizes that he can equip his targets with items from his own imagination. He can also destroy these items by setting a timer, which would keep him protected from any ill doing. He is quite pleased with the way things are going, as he has been essentially given a cheat skill for heroes. Shinto now analyzes his system and takes note of something which he had observed earlier. It looks like an SNSD, and he wonders how it would look like in front of the receiver. He wants to consider the risks of such conditions and types in a message to the system. It basically says that the hero should be compensated for being summoned to this world. But when he looks at the system after that, the message sounds meaningless. Also, his name will simply fade away quickly, so it doesn't matter how often he tries this. Shinto laments the fact that he can't get any compensation for being summoned, but then he picks on something even more important. If he is able to send this message anonymously, then he can make it seem as if an oracle or a higher power is saying it. It could increase the chances of him being able to manipulate Alicia's actions. If that is the case, he can get the princess to do anything he wants her to do, including shady things with her body. Of course, he can already do whatever he wants to Alicia in the current state. But he still wants to see if this message will have any kind of effect on the princess the next day. Shinto is tired and wants to go to sleep, but his intrusive thoughts won't let him do such a thing just yet. After all, he did just take a nice, long look at Alicia's curvy body, so now he wants to play with her for a bit. He has already seen everything that he needs to see, so he wants to do something else. He goes on to write some extreme things into his system, and makes sure to set them all to vanish once Alicia wakes up. Shinto feels a bit weird himself, but he knows that he has to get some fun out of this whole mess. With that, he activates the third skill once again and sends Alicia off to Japan for a short while. He then witnesses with his own eyes how his shady statements are now coming true in front of his very own eyes. The princess is experiencing some extreme sensations, so her body reacts the same way. Shinto only sits there and enjoys the view as he sees Alicia's face turning red and her entire body sweating due to these sensations. This makes him figure that she is having intrusive thoughts of her own, even while sleeping. Suddenly, the blindfold falls off due to all the movements, so Shinto worries for a bit. But then he remembers that the piercings and other items will disappear once the princess wakes up. This means that there is nothing at for him to worry about. A lot of time passes by, but Alicia is still not waking up, which confuses our hero. He wonders if this is because she is tired, or if she is always like this. Things start to get really intense, but Shinto continues to watch the show. She can't seem to take it anymore, so Shinto decides that he has done enough to her for tonight, so he won't add anything on top of what is already being done to her. After all, this is a very cheap price for kidnapping someone and bringing them to your world. He almost feels as if he has gotten some kind of payback for what has been done to him. But the story is far from over just yet. He promises her that the next time, things can get even rougher if he wants them to, so she will need to be careful moving forward. With that, he wishes her a good night and sweet dreams, while she continues to enjoy the sensations of his third skill. The next morning arrives and our hero wakes up the moment the sun hits his face. He does not realize when he passed out, and is shocked to see that it is morning already. As he looks around the place, he remembers that he is still in another world, and whatever happened yesterday was not a dream. That's when he hears some noises coming from the monitor, so he goes to take a look at it, only to learn that the princess is still enjoying the sensations that he had activated the previous night. He can't believe that she has been experiencing this the entire night without waking up. So he wonders how shady she really is. This is a bit too much for any kind of person, so Shinto wonders if this is because of the summoning ritual taking a lot out of her. Now he recalls what the king told him about training for 3 months, and he knows that this is not going to be easy for him. Leveling up in a game is a piece of cake, but the same can't be said about doing it in real life. Our hero laments that things could have actually gone well for him here if everyone didn't hate him so much. He remembers what Alicia was saying earlier about making him dance to her tunes, and it leads him to wonder just how shameless the people of this world can be. Either way, the only plan that might work for him now is to play along with the narrative and trick everyone into thinking that he is doing as they please. In the meantime, he can come up with a strategy to overpower them and find a way back home. Shinto takes yet another look at the princess and is baffled by how intrusive her thoughts really are. Of course, he also comments that she is a really pretty girl if he were to just assess her by looks. He then thinks about a typical scenario where the hero is transported to another world and praised by everyone. In such a case, he would also end up falling in love with a princess and marry her. But that is a cliché situation. This is a completely different case altogether as Shinto goes through the information he has collected on the princess so far. He gets reminded of how shameless she is, but also confesses that both he and Alicia are the type who like to bully others. With that in mind, he decides to forget about morals and enjoy the show. After all, he and Alicia are not that different when it comes down to mindsets. Of course, the fact that she is still not waking up is a bit of a concern for him, because it should not be, so that she will remain in a constant state of pleasure for the rest of her life. Suddenly, someone starts knocking on the door and calling out to Alicia. It happens to be one of the maids, and she is eagerly waiting for the princess to open the door. However, she is still asleep, and this could spell bad news for Shinto. He did not think about this situation at all, because he had assumed that Alicia would wake up during the night itself. Since he does not have a plan B for this, he can only hope for luck to be on his side. We can see Alicia still in bed and enjoying her extended session. But Shinto's worries only continue to rise after realizing how much trouble he can get in if the princess is found in such a state. Of course, the maid knows nothing about this, and she keeps calling out to Alicia, telling her that she has prepared her breakfast. It doesn't take a genius for Shinto to figure that he will be taken in as the main suspect if the king were to find his daughter in such a shady position. After all, he was just summoned the previous day, so all the evidence will point towards him. Shinto fears that he will lose his life while being surrounded from all directions, which will be a horrible fate for a boy who simply wants to go back to his own world. Meanwhile, another maid shows up and asks the first maid why it's taking so long for the princess to show herself. They discuss why Alicia is not responding, because they can faintly hear her voice, which is actually just her due to the sensations. Now, both the maids call out to Alicia, and our hero laments the fact that he did not set the items to disappear when someone else would enter the room. The stakes are high, and there's a lot riding on this, so Shinto wonders what kind of skill he should use to wake up Alicia. Of course, there's always the risk of the maids seeing him use his skill, so he has to be very careful over here. The maids are getting restless, and they can enter the room at any time now, so Shinto decides to take matters into his own hands, and he awakens the system. The maid asks the princess if she can come in, but all she can hear is a light moan that makes no sense to her at all. Soon enough, the maid decides to walk in anyway, and our hero worries that it's too late for him to do anything about it. At this very moment, it feels as if Alicia has experienced the ultimate finish, and then the maid enters the room to see what's going on with her princess. Tensions run high as she approaches the bed and looks around to see if anyone else is there. However, things seem to be quite normal as she greets Alicia with a good morning. She bows down to the princess, and to our surprise, Alicia responds to her while looking perfectly normal without any sweat on her body. The maid asks her if she had a pleasant rest in the night, and Alicia says yes, but she is well aware of the fact that she might have slept a bit too much. The maid tells her that it is quite normal for her to feel this way, because the hero summoning ritual must have taken a lot out of her. The princess agrees to this and proceeds to get out of bed, but then she notices something odd with her body. There is something dripping out of her body, and she is shocked to see this. Alicia becomes extremely shy and tries to hide all the residue of her pleasure from the maid. At this very moment, she hears the message that Shinto had left for her, stating that the hero should be compensated for being summoned over here. None of this makes any sense to the princess, and she tries to understand from where this is coming. After all, she never would have, though, that she would hear such a thing. Since this is a bit too much for her to take in, Alicia asks the maid to leave the room, but this confuses her. She says that she has not yet helped the princess change her clothes, but Alicia obviously does not want her to see what happened to her. Once again, she tells the maid to leave, so she simply bows down to her and exits the room. After this, Alicia goes on to check what has happened below her clothes and feels the substance in her hands. She takes a look at the state of her body, and Shinto is glad that he did not get caught. After all, if Alicia woke up even a few seconds later, then it would have been the end of him. This makes him wonder if the princess reached the ultimate climax at that very moment. It would have been a rather lucky moment for her to finish at that very second. Miracles aside, Shinto had noticed that the princess was mumbling something earlier, so it could be that she has received his message. She did not realize that it was from him because his name did not show on the text, so Shinto has to see if this was the right move for him. However, he has other things to worry about because he is tired, and he needs sugar to help his energy. Now, the two maids show up in his room and bring some breakfast for him. It's a rather delicious meal and Shinto thanks them for it. But the maids maintain a straight face and tell him that his training will begin from this afternoon itself. He did not expect to hear this, but the maids tell him that he must finish his breakfast as soon as possible. After this, he will need to head to the training ground, which is not exactly what he had in mind so early in the morning. After the maids leave him alone, he rests on his bed and thinks about everything that has gone down till now. It's a bit troublesome for him, because Alicia is seriously affected by his actions. So as of now, the first round between them ends in a tie. As he makes his way through the halls, Shinto states that it's a horrible way for him to start off his new day. He can't even enjoy his breakfast before he gets ready to train. He does not like that he has to do such things, and this makes him curious as to what the princess is doing right now. He suddenly sees her twin peaks right in front of his face, and he doesn't want this to happen in public. It turns out that Alicia is in the royal library, and she is unable to find any book that explains the point of compensation to the hero of a summoning ritual. Since none of the books have any information on this, it leads her to wonder why this is happening to her. Shinto figures that Alicia is trying to get some intel, as per the records of past heroes that have been summoned here. This is good news for him because it is a sign that she has taken his message seriously. After all, his name was not attached to it, so Alicia could be thinking that it has come from the gods themselves. This is a huge sign of relief for him because he now has her full attention. Shinto can happily walk towards his training ground now, and he runs into a man who has a couple of swords and is waiting for him. This man is somewhat unimpressed by seeing how the hero looks like, and he introduces himself as Ruido. He states that he will be the person in charge of training Shinto for now, and he is glad to see him. Our hero greets him as well, but does not sense any negative energy from him just yet. As a matter of fact, it may appear as if Ruido is a good guy. Of course, it's better to be safe than sorry, so Shinto uses his character introduction skill on Ruido just for good measure. He is shown to be 42 years old, and also happens to be a believer in humanism. However, since he is the captain of the Royal Knights Order, he is on the same side as Alicia. If necessary, he will be ready to take Shinto's life as well, and as expected, this is not something that he wanted to learn. Shinto hilariously laments the fact that Ruido is also a shameless man, and is actually the first one he's met who wants to take his life. He clearly does not like that everyone in this world wants him to suffer, but he has to carry on with his plan and begin his training. Ruido decides to skip the formalities and decides to test Shinto's current set of skills before they actually begin the program. Our hero is a bit confused by this statement, but then Ruido picks up his sword and suggests having a mock duel. It doesn't take long for him to begin with the offensive, as he charges towards Shinto and launches a finisher move on him right from the get-go. Our hero is able to dodge this attack, and Ruido is impressed by his reflexes. Of course, he did go easy on him, but Shinto finds that hard to believe. He can see that the very ground itself has been crushed, even though Ruido used a wooden sword for his attack. Shinto wonders why his own mentor wants to end him in their first meeting itself. Maybe it is that he has found out about the shady things our hero did to the princess in the night. But that would be impossible simply based off Alicia trying to find a book on hero compensation. Before Shinto can think about anything else, Ruido mentions that he's aware of a hero being brought to this world with 3 skills. He wants Shinto to tell them what they are, and this comes as a shock to him because he was hoping for nobody to ask him such a question. He asks Ruido if he needs to know them right now, so he says that it will be important for his training. There is also one more reason, which is that he is simply interested to know what they are. Shinto does not want to give in so easily, so he asks Ruido about why the kingdom does not know about them yet. The mentor asks him why he would think such a thing, and Shinto states that they have already summoned heroes in the past, so they should have this much knowledge. Ruido admits that a hero summoning does happen once every 100 years, so Shinto tells him that there must be records of those heroes from the past. Of course, he is also asking this so that he can get an idea of the kind of information Alicia will have access to. Ruido explains that records of these heroes do exist, but there is nothing that states each of the heroes from the past had the same abilities. This is why there is no reference for the skills that Shinto has been blessed with. But our hero is not going to give in so easily. He simply asks Ruido to check his skills with appraisal magic, as he believes that the people of this world should have more details on him. After all, he's just got here and has no idea how society functions in this world. This is when Ruido sadly admits that if the people actually had such an ability, then they would have used it right after Shinto was summoned. Ruido does not know how magic works in Shinto's original world, but over here, magic is a technique which can only be used to fight against the demon lord. As a matter of fact, magic was invented only for the subjugation of this threat, so there is no kind of convenient magic for people to use normally. This comes as another surprise for our hero, because he thought basic powers such as appraisal would have been there. Then again, in Japan, there is no magic at all, so it's not like he would have had any idea about it himself. With this chat out of the way, Ruido says that he will teach Shinto about magic later on. But as of now, he needs to focus on the skills that our hero has been blessed with. He goes on to strike Shinto once again, but he manages to avoid this blow as well. The mentor insists on learning what his skills are. Of course, Shinto knows that if he does tell Ruido his skills, then he risks exposing what he did last night. Ruido asks for the skills once again, and Shiny suspects something is up if he's trying to ask him this question so many times. At that moment, it strikes him that there is no such thing as appraisal magic in this world, so even if he lied about it, there would be no way for Ruido to know the truth. This is exactly why he's pushing him so much, in order to scare him into speaking the truth. This also explains why the first strike was a finisher move. All of these are intimidation tactics, and Shinto sees it happen once again when Ruido asks him why he's taking so much time to answer his question. Another attack is launched his way, and Shinto manages to dodge it. But he knows that he could meet his end if he messes up even once. At this very moment, Ruido gets the jump on him, and is actually going to use his ultimate finisher move on him. Shinto needs to think of something really quick, so he decides to finally reveal the names of his skills. Just before Ruido can strike him, he says that the first one is called Character Introduction, which is actually the truth. The mentor wants to know exactly what the skill does, so Shinto tells him that it gives him the basic information about the person standing right in front of him. Of course, this does not sound useful at all to Ruido, so he makes an unimpressed face. Shinto knows that his mentor is hiding his emotions and being skeptical, because this is actually a good skill. After all, it helps him keep his guard up in front of people like Ruido and Alicia. Now, the mentor asks Shino what exactly the introduction tells him. So he says that it showed him how Ruido is the captain of the Knight's Order and has the best skills in the kingdom. Our hero has obviously left out the part that says he wants to end his life. So Ruido laughs and says that the introduction is not wrong at all. Shino even adds to this by saying he is not sure of how to use the skill just yet. It could be a form of communication for him since he is in a world that he is not at all familiar with. Ruido buys his story and declares that he does not understand the use of such a skill. Even so, it doesn't matter to him, and he wants to know the name of the second skill. Of course, Shino knows that he can't reveal the truth to anyone over here. He has to do his best to hide it as much as he can, so he decides to lie about the other two as well. He states that the second ability is called Summoner's Protection. He explains that it is a skill that will temporarily protect him from the person who has summoned him. Ruido figures that in this case, Shino will be able to use it against Alicia, so he has to talk to her about it. Now that he is done with two of the skills, he wants to know the third one. Shino pauses for a bit before revealing it, but then Ruido tries to strike him once again. The mentor reminds his student that they are still in the middle of a mock duel, and he will get hurt if he decides to speak nonsense. Shino can't come up with a random skill to explain to Ruido, and he does not want to reveal any of the other skills as well, since they can save his life when push comes to shove. He would rather not say anything, but Ruido is being a bit too pushy with him. This is when Shino realizes that he has another trick up his sleeve. As a matter of fact, it's a good thing for him because he wanted to test out this skill anyway. This is his chance to see how effective it can be, so he takes aim at Ruido and unleashes a deadly strike at him. A flash of light blinds everyone for a moment, but then we see that Shino has missed his target and also falls down due to a sprain in his ankle. Ruido is just standing there with a look of shock and awe, and then he turns around to see where our hero is. Shino gets up and tells his mentor that the skill he just witnessed is called counter, as he just showed him. This skill enables him to launch a counterattack on any opponent who takes aim at him. Ruido is satisfied by what he has seen, but Shino tells us that the name of the skill is actually called full counter. He has just made it sound weaker in comparison, so that he can use it as a backup if he is ever in a dangerous situation. Now that he has shown the mentor his actual sword skills, his lies must have sounded quite believable to him. Now, Shino learns that even though his move is called the full counter, it does not completely counter the entire attack. He does not have the technique to aim at his opponent just yet, so he still has a long way to go. Also, he has taken some damage to his arm, so he wonders it's been broken by Ruido's strike. However, it doesn't take long for him to notice something odd. All of a sudden, the pain vanishes and Shino is baffled, because his arm was hurting a lot just before now. This makes him speculate if he also has the ability to counter injuries. Even Ruido is a bit surprised by this, and he asks Shino how this was possible if his skill could only be used to counter his opponent. Our hero simply says that he does not know what happened here, and he lies that his arm is still hurting just to make sure he doesn't give too much away. Ruido wonders what would happen if he actually wanted to chop off Shino's hand, but he knows he can't try such a thing so early on. It doesn't take long for our hero to realize that Ruido is just saying whatever comes to his mind in order to get a reaction out of him. After all, he could be trying to get some information on Shino, which he can use later to end his life. Now, the mentor states that the only useful combat skill that Shino possesses is a counter, and that too, not something special. He comments that the hero of this century has been given a rather weird set of skills, but there's nothing he can do about it. Shino does not appreciate such an attitude, and then Ruido suggests taking a break before resuming training. As the men sit down for a breather, Shino decides to try something out. He tells Ruido that Alicia is quite the beauty, which takes him by surprise. Our hero continues by saying it's only been a couple of times that he's interacted with the princess, but he can say for sure that he has never come across a girl as cute and curvy as her. Ruido asks him if he has fallen in love with Alicia at first sight. So he says that even if he's a hero, he is also a man, so he can't ignore his intrusive thoughts. Ruido seems to have taken note of this, and Shinto figures that he could be plotting something wherein he tries to use Alicia's beauty against him for an eventual betrayal. Of course, there is no way for him to know this, but he can try to convince his mentor that this is his weakness. Now that the break is done with, Ruido gets up and tells Shinto to be prepared. He's not going to go easy on him this time, and this does not please our hero at all. Anyway, he is going to make sure that the princess repays this debt to him when the time comes. 3 months pass by like this, and we see our hero at the end of a training session, but it doesn't look too good for him. He is tired and the ground, so Ruido calls him pathetic and useless. If this is the shape he's in even after 3 months of training, then there isn't much hope for him against the Demon Lord. Seeing his condition makes Ruido a bit concerned, so he decides to take a break for now. Now Shinto wonders if his training has any meaning to it at all. This is because he knows he is nowhere even close to Ruido in terms of sword skills. He decides to ask his mentor if using a sword would have any kind of effect on the Demon Lord at all. Ruido is a bit confused by this question, but it does make sense for Shinto to ask it. He knows he will never be able to surpass his mentor, no matter how many months are invested into him. So, if a human with a sword was good enough to defeat the Demon Lord, then it would have made a lot more sense for Ruido to have done it himself. The mentor laughs at this suggestion, because it's a valid point, but at the same time, it's also impossible. Shinto doesn't get this, so he asks for a reason, but is devastated to know what it is. Basically, if a human were to go up against the Demon Lord and even stand in his presence, he would instantly lose his life. Shinto lets out a massive scream to let his emotions be known to his mentor. Since he is a human as well, the logic will also apply to him, so he does not want Ruido to say such things lightly. The mentor continues by saying it does not matter how strong the person is, because the Demon Lord's magic can easily end them if he wanted it to. In general, there is not a single person in this world who can stand up against the Demon Lord, which is why the hero needs to be summoned from another world. If this isn't bad enough, Ruido also reveals that the Demon Lord is a plant, which means that he is reborn once every 100 years. Simply hearing this makes Shinto shiver, because he can only imagine how deadly a Demon Lord would look like as a plant. Ruido isn't done yet as he states that the Demon Lord's mere presence would cause lands to go barren, disasters to be created, and monsters to be strengthened. At this point, Shinto doesn't even know why he is training to take on such a deadly opponent. If the Demon Lord actually has such a skill of instant death, then even a hero would not stand a chance against him. However, this suddenly puts an idea into his mind, and he brings out his system. This has to do with his second skill, Full Counter, because it could have the power to counter the instant death move of the Demon Lord. If Shinto were to use this skill properly, then instead of him, it will be the Demon Lord who would get hit with the attack. So, even if he were to face instant death, he would be able to counter the injuries and come out of the whole thing unscathed, while also defeating the Demon Lord. In conclusion to all of this, it can be said that a hero is the natural predator of the Demon Lord. Shinto is in a spot of bother right now, because even though he feels like he has found a way to deal with the Demon King, he is not sure if this will be the right method to stake his claim. Plus, he needs a surefire method to defeat the Demon Lord, so his assumptions are not going to cut it. On top of that, he has to worry about finding the motivation to do this as well. Now, Ruido tells him that the world will perish if the Demon Lord is not defeated, and this is what makes him think twice. After all, there must be good and innocent people living in this world as well, so there is no need to be so lazy. Since so many lives depend on him, Shinto realizes that he will not be able to go back home if no one is left to help him with the teleportation spell. Normally, this should be enough to push our hero, but he worries about what his skill had shown him earlier regarding everyone's character introductions. After all, if he is meant to be used as a toy, then he must figure a way to gather his own motivation to survive. Ruido can see that he has made Shinto a bit gloomy, so he says that it's just how the world works. He's not that good when it comes to communication anyway, which is why he has done whatever he could to make our hero feel a bit comfortable. It's not like Ruido to be chatting so casually, but he still tells Shinto that if he needs help with anything, then he can assist him. This comes as a bit of a surprise to Shinto, and then he watches as Ruido goes to grab something to drink. After Ruido leaves the scene, our hero wonders if his skill was giving him the whole story. As a matter of fact, he was only shown what Ruido was ordered to do, not what he actually felt. Shinto brings out the stats bar again, and he wonders if it is not at the level where it can show a person's true feelings. Now, he watches as Ruido passes him a bottle of some potion and advises him to drink it so that he does not get tired during training. After seeing all of this, Shinto believes that Ruido may not be a bad person after all. At the same time, it would not be wise to put all his trust into Ruido just yet. At least Shinto now has a reason to fight and train, so it's a small step forward. Our hero then wonders what Princess Alicia may be up to right now, and it does not look like she is having a good time. She is still horrified by what happened to her the previous night, and she tries to figure what the mysterious voice told her about the compensation she needed to give our hero. Alicia seems to be losing her patience due to a lack of answers, and then she gets distracted when she realizes that she has tipped over some books. This leads to a hilarious moment wherein the princess has found herself trapped in the middle of these books, and she angrily promises to do something about this mysterious beast. Shinto is completely unbothered by any of this, and then he decides to continue with his training. The added motivation does not do much to aid him, and he continues to struggle with his sword skills. Ruido tells him that the sun is about to set, so he needs to figure this out right now. But the only thing on Shinto's mind is that his trainer is a musclehead. He drops to the ground out of exhaustion, but Ruido is not having any of it, and he reminds our hero that he has not given him permission to rest. It turns out that Shinto did not fall due to weariness, but due to surprise because there is someone peeping at him and Ruido. The trainer is not pleased to see this, so he orders the stalker to show herself right now. To their surprise, it's none other than Alicia herself, who seems to be obsessed now with Shinto. Ruido asks her if there is anything she needs from them, so she shadily asks him to come towards her. Even Ruido is baffled by this behavior, but he listens to his princess and walks up to her. Shinto is a bit suspicious of what is going on over here, and he tries to figure what the two of them are talking about. It's hard to say from where he's at, and Ruido seems to have confirmed meeting Alicia later. Suddenly, the trainer turns around and asks Shinto to come here, much to Alicia's dismay. He comes over and asks what he is needed for, but the princess can only make a cute face and blush while hiding her true shady self. Ruido smiles and says that today's training is over, so he can go and greet Isekai'd now. Shinto is surprised by his behavior and laments that he's not been able to get a good read on his trainer just yet. Our hero decides to continue playing along, and he greets Isekai'd formally. He then says that he will see the princess tomorrow and wishes her a good night. Alicia blushes once again and wishes our hero a good night as well, almost as if she seems to be developing some feelings for him. Later at night, we see Shinto falling into bed, completely drained and tired from today's activities. He's so tired that he wants to sleep right away, but he knows he has to keep an eye on the princess as well. As he activates his spy vision, he can see that Alicia has still not settled down from what happened to her earlier. Suddenly, someone is heard knocking on her door, and she allows him to come inside. Shinto is shocked to see that the man knocking on Alicia's door is none other than Ruido himself. Our hero watches on as Ruido can be seen flexing his muscles and wiping his face as he has come straight out of a shower. The trainer apologizes for keeping Alicia waiting, and she scolds him for taking too much time to come here. Ruido says that the only reason he took this much time was because he was showering, which was something that the princess had asked him to do. Alicia blushes and admits that she had indeed asked Ruido to take a shower before meeting her. Hearing this makes Shinto suspicious of the relation these two share with each other. It could be that they partake in shady activities with each other, because there is no other reason for Alicia to ask the trainer man to take a shower. Luckily for Shinto, the princess reveals that she only asked Ruido to do this because he smelled like sweat when she met him at the training ground. Alicia does not want anyone smelling like that to enter her room, which is why she wanted Ruido to clean himself first. Our hero is relieved to learn this because he would have felt extremely guilty to peep in on their date if they actually were involved on an intimate level. Now, Shinto's own door is knocked on by someone, and it happens to be one of the maid girls. Our hero is a bit surprised, but acts normal since the maid has come with his food. As she lays out the food, Shinto resumes his focus on Ruido, who is now giving his report to the princess. He gives out whatever personal information was shared with him, and then he tells Alicia about Shinto's skills. Since our hero had lied about them, the princess does not know if he has character introduction, but she is aware that such a skill exists. Ruido says that the main problem is the skill called counter, which Shinto had used during training. He goes on to explain how the skill comes into play the moment an attack is landed on our hero. Ruido adds that this skill may also neutralize any damage that the hero receives when he uses counter. He and Alicia state that when the time comes, this will be a problem for them to deal with, so they will need to test it further for a bit. The maid gets done with her work, so Shinto tells her she can leave. As she shuts the door, Shinto overhears Ruido telling Alicia about the familiar with the summoner skill that he had lied about. The trainer states that this is a skill that affects the summoner more than the hero. But judging from Alicia's reaction, something seems to be on her mind. Shinto watches carefully as Ruido asks the princess if she has figured out something. That does not happen to be the case, but Alicia asks the trainer if he is sure of Shinto not lying to him. He tells her that the only way to get information out of our hero is to flatter him, and this is why he wants to ask her of a favor. He asks her to come and visit Shinto every single day if she can, and also to greet him the moment she sees him. The princess does not understand why he is asking her to do such a thing, so he explains that it could be because Shinto has fallen in love with her at first sight. Naturally, this comes across as a shocker for Alicia. She seems to take this to a whole other level by saying heroes from other worlds are all the same when it comes to their intrusive thoughts. She adds that such things have been recorded in the legends as well, but Ruido does not understand what she means by this. The princess then explains that the heroes who came here before Shinto used to do shady things with the women of this world all the time. She hands over the book to Ruido to give him proof, and then she says that people like Shinto are nothing more than goblins who can speak their language. The trainer is not very affected by this, and he says that from where he sees it, none of these legends really matter. Alicia is surprised by his response, but Ruido states that Shinto is very much a young boy when it comes to his physical status and mental capabilities. He does not think that our hero would ever go on to do such despicable things as the ones that Alicia has just mentioned. Of course, the princess does not accept what he is saying and starts to question him. Ruido explains himself by saying he did not mean to sound as if he was disagreeing with the princess. What he feels is that if someone is given an extraordinary amount of power, that too far beyond others, then they would normally want to brag about it, which is why the heroes from before went on to use their positions to get with cute and curvy babes. This is only natural for a person, and in the case of Shinto, it is easy for him to get distorted because he is very young. Plus, there's the fact that the history of heroes is not very long, so there is not enough recorded data on it. This is why Ruido would prefer to underestimate whatever the legends have told the princess. He adds that if he would ever let Alicia be put into such a dangerous situation, then he has no right to call himself the knight's captain either. As expected, this whole conversation points out to Ruido being completely in cahoots with the princess, and he is not at all on Shino's side. Naturally, our hero is upset to learn this, because the one man he thought he could trust has now turned out to be just as big of an enemy as Alicia. Shino is also upset to learn about all the shady things the previous heroes did to the women of this world. It actually explains why Alicia is not fond of them in the first place. Shino understands that it must be frustrating to be forced to fight for your life. But at the same time, that is not an excuse to let your intrusive thoughts take over your body. Right as he says this, our hero remembers that he too has done shady things to the princess, and that too while she was sleeping. However, he maintains that he has his limits when it comes to shady activities. He would never do such a thing to the innocent people of this world, and he is simply a victim of Alicia's evil plans. After all, he could have done a lot more to the princess that night, but he chose to stop himself before things got out of hand. At the end of it all, he realizes that he is not too different from the other heroes, but he must make use of the information he has gained today. Now, Alicia tells Ruido that things will not be too dangerous for now, and this piques Shino's interest. The trainer mentions the sealing and manage skill, to which the princess nods along. This means that the 7 remaining skills out of the 10 main skills has been sealed by Alicia. As long as she does not unseal it, Shino will not be able to use this skill. Our hero can't believe what he is hearing, and then Ruido asks the princess if they can reseal the skill after unsealing it. Alicia scoffs and says yes, because this has already been prepared for via her research. This is a lot of new information for Shino, because he is a bit confused by what he has just learned. Basically, the only reason he can use character introductions is because Alicia and the others have forgotten about sealing it. But then again, this new talk about resealing skills has him worried. Our hero is worried about how he's going to play it moving forward. But then his stats bar opens up and tells him that a new record has been added. It asks him if he would like to confirm it, and he decides to say yes because he could use any advantage that comes his way now. The record happens to be a skill named the Key to the Princess's Heart, and Shino does not need to worry about it getting sealed. It so happens that the skill's seal was incorporated during the hero's summoning ritual, meaning it is connected directly to Alicia's heart. Shino is relieved to hear this, and even gets a bit excited because he now has access to an unsealing method. However, when he goes to access it, he gets denied by the system because he has not met the requirements yet. This is, of course, a bit frustrating for our hero, so he throws a hissy fit. Anyway, he decides to recollect himself, and then takes a good look at the new record being presented to him. He realizes that the record has now been archived, which means he will not be able to see it again until he manages to meet the requirements for it. This is not good news for him. And then we shift to Alicia, who talks about how she is going to grasp Shino in her palms. She will make sure that she owns his skills, his heart, and everything else about him. At the same time, even our hero Shino admits that there is only one way for them to survive this ordeal. The both of them switch to demon mode and talk about taking control of each other's bodies and souls through their own skills. Our hero continues to spy on the princess for as long as he can. And then we switch to the next morning, where he is having breakfast. He reminds himself that the only reason he can't use the other remaining skills is because of Alicia having sealed them away. Not only is this a new discovery, but also an unpleasant one, because Shino was hoping to gain access to these skills the fair way. There's also the fact that Ruido is totally against him as well, and it leads Shino to lament how anyone would treat their hero this way. The worst part, though, is that the princess can seal 2 out of his existing 3 skills as well, which is a bit too much for him to digest. He wonders how she is able to do such a thing when she does not even know a lot about the skills and their details. It could be that she will just seal the skill with the biggest number. But this is at best a guess for Shino. He knows that if the last skill has to do with leveling up, Then he will surely be able to defeat Alicia and everyone else from the kingdom. As he thinks about all of this, Shinto also considers asking the princess to improve his living condition. Things are getting really complicated for Shinto, but then he reminds himself that the previous hero who came here was able to defeat the demon lord all by himself, and that too with everyone in the kingdom against him. This is a rather great accomplishment, so our hero needs to take inspiration from it. Of course, he's also reminded of all the shady activities these past heroes would engage in, and then he figures that it's all about keeping his guard. Later, we see Shinto in the middle of practice with Ruido, and he is still struggling with his swings. The trainer is relentless and asks him to give another 100, but then Alicia comes to the scene. She gives a cute expression and greets Shinto nicely, wishing him a nice day. Of course, all of this is nothing more than a deception to gain his favor, but our hero already knows that. He simply greets her as well, and then the princess asks him how his training is getting along. It's rather embarrassing for Shinto to admit it, but he confesses that his body is already swelling up and getting exhausted from the exercise. Having said that, he wishes to try his best and improve on his fighting skills. Even so, Shinto believes that he will never be able to defeat Ruido in terms of swordsmanship. He states that he would be able to perform better at training if he were able to use more of his hero skills. Of course, he has to seem clueless about what he heard last night, so Shinto asks what the previous hero did to learn a new skill. Alicia turns it around on him by asking if he is not satisfied with the training he is being given. Shinto says it's nothing like that at all, and then Alicia switches to her cute face. She states that as per her records, the previous heroes were able to learn new skills after lots of regular training. She adds that she and the others will constantly support Shinto, so he should just rest assured and continue training as he is now. Her cute and curvy body are too good to resist, so Shinto can't help but stare at her. Alicia notices this, so she acts shy and blushes in order to get our hero to fall for her. Of course, he himself thinks that if she is going to act this way, then he will make sure to take advantage of that emotion. At the same time, even Alicia is amused and finds it silly that her acting is being believed by Shinto because she is lying to him blatantly. Luckily for Shinto, his spying skills have informed him that the real culprit hiding his skills is none other than the princess herself. Alicia asks Shinto if he genuinely dislikes the training, and he says yes without any hesitation. He has always hated it, and has good reason to as well. After all, nobody likes it when you forcefully kidnap them from their world and force them into some kind of odd labor. Then there's the fact that Ruido can't hide anything which has been said to him in confidence.
Shinto really is a spot of bother now, because Alicia has put him in a tight spot with Ruido standing right there behind him in case things don't go as per the evil princess's plans. He has to play it smart now, so he chooses his words very carefully. Shinto says that the first skill seems to be something which is given to the person summoned by the princess. He does not know the details of this skill, at least not until he tries to use it. Alicia wonders what to do over here, but then decides it would be better to try out the skill and activate it right now. Ruido is not on board with this idea because it is important to know what kind of skill Shinto has before testing it out. He obviously masks it by saying it's necessary to have knowledge of our hero's abilities in order to save the world, but he is not fooling anyone. The evil princess counters that this skill is based on her summoning powers, so it should be all right for her. After all, there is no point in trying to save the world if they don't take any risks. Shinto is impressed by Alicia's resolve, and feels that this could be the only true feeling she has shown him. Also, it looks like our hero had anticipated the situation to play out exactly the way it is right now. It was well worth the effort for him to prepare for it the previous day, too. Now, we are taken to a flashback from the previous night in order to understand what Shinto had done. Our hero knew that in order for people to believe that Summoner's Protection is a genuine skill, showing the skill in action would be the quickest way. This gets him thinking, and then he comes up with an idea wherein he will use the otherworld teleportation to put up a barrier. However, he realizes that this will not work because everyone will notice the difference. Also, he is not even sure if he will be able to teleport a barrier over to this world. He will probably have to find something that's flashy, like the summoner herself. The closest thing he can think of is an angel, but Alicia is nothing like one. This is supposed to be a skill for the summoner, not the summoned, so our hero wonders if teleporting a Japanese costume as a barrier would be enough. It's something from another world to the people over here, and Shinto can probably pick up something from his favorite anime as well. Of course, this comes with a few intrusive thoughts, and he starts to imagine Alicia in all kinds of alluring costumes. The princess may be evil, but she has an amazing face to go with her body, which makes her suitable for any kind of role-play costume. Shinto realizes that if he gets too carried away with his shady intentions, then Alicia will be able to catch his lies and then punish him for hiding the truth about his skills. He has to think about this situation a lot more seriously, so he opens up his magic screen and begins typing. He comes up with all kinds of shady items like chestplate armor and fishnet stockings. Our hero is surprised that he was able to type all of these things so quickly, and we suddenly realize that we are back to the present where he is actually doing this in front of the princess. Shinto is taking up some time, so Alicia asks him if all is well. He brushes it off by saying he is not at all familiar with this skill, which leads the princess to laugh, stating that it could be because he is nervous. This may seem innocent at first, but Shinto knows that Alicia is trying to test him over here. He realizes that if he had not peeked at her thoughts, then he would have easily been fooled right now. Now that he is done with everything, Shinto says that he will activate the skill now, and Alicia is ready to have it. Soon enough, an entire protective armor shows up and automatically gets placed on her body. Alicia is surprised, but Ruido is even more shocked by what he has just seen. The princess states that this armor is giving her a good feeling, which is good news for Shinto, who once again takes the chance to tell her that this is his first time using the skill. Our hero is satisfied with the way his plan has worked out, because it does look like Alicia is still not sure of what his actual skill is. Ruido is amazed by the summoner's protection and has deduced it to be a protective measure for the princess, which disappears soon after. Shinto adds to this by asking if it is actually meant to protect Alicia, because he does not want to appear too smart in front of his enemies. Alicia is certain that our hero is correct, but suddenly she notices the word effect appearing before her eyes. Ruido and Shinto both ask the princess if she is fine, but our hero already knows that Alicia must have seen the message by now. She brushes it off by saying the skill is more of an effect than protection itself, but that does not have any meaning. Shinto blindly agrees because this is exactly what he wants her to think. However, his mission is far from over, as this was just the first skill, and it wasn't even an offensive one. It's time to learn about the second one, but Shinto takes the lead by saying his first skill is no good for him. After all, he will not be taking the princess with him to defeat the demon lord, so he won't even be able to use summoner's protection. Of course, he is just lying to Alicia by saying he is excited to be able to protect her, but will need better skills if he is to win against the demon lord and save everyone in the kingdom. His words definitely have an impact on Alicia as well as Ruido, who need to look at each other to figure their next move. The evil princess admits that Shinto is right, but also states that they might as well talk about it now. She then says that she will join Shinto on his quest to subjugate the Demon King, which is a smart move on her end. Our hero has to fake his excitement on hearing this, but he had expected Alicia to say this as well. After all, he has been spying on her for a while, so he knows exactly how the evil princess thinks about him. Alicia says that she is responsible for Shinto's conquest anyway, so she has to join him, which leads Shinto to say he's glad to hear it and will try his best to protect her. Alicia smirks and says that as long as it's Shinto with her, she believes she will be fine against the Demon King. Now, we move to the night where our hero finally gets some rest in his bed. He is completely exhausted from his physical and mental sessions today, but at least he has been able to convince the evil princess that the summoner's protection skill does exist. However, he has just realized something, which is that the stockings he put on Alicia did not disappear due to his oversight. As he says this, we see Alicia taking a look at herself in the mirror, and she notices the stockings as well. Now, before we move ahead in the story, it's time to become shady with a bonus chapter like the traditional men of culture covered by comic guzzlers. We see Shinto spying on Alicia, who is in bed without anything to cover her amazingly curvy body. This is truly an amazing sight, but to gain such instant access to such a sight will not make Shinto's elephant stand up quickly. He imagines an alternative situation where he is with Alicia in her bedroom. The princess asks him if something is wrong, but he is about to do something that only feels right. He pushes her onto the bed and puts her in an extremely vulnerable position. Alicia acts sweet and innocent, asking our hero what he plans to do to her. He simply tells her to not worry about it and stay still for him. He says there's nothing to be afraid of, after which he awakens the beast within. Shinto tells Alicia to relax, so she does as he says in totally submissive fashion. This is not bad at all for our hero, because he knows you need to warm up the pie before you can put cream in it. However, this is about it for us, as we will now shift into the actual story again. We can see our hero during another one of his training sessions, and Ruido comes up to him asking if he has finished his morning sword routine. From the looks of it, our hero has finished his job rather quickly because he's totally exhausted. Ruido is happy to hear this, so he gives Shinto something none of us had thought he would give. It looks like a toy chicken head, which makes no sense at all, so Shinto has to ask him what is the meaning of this. It turns out that the chicken head toy is actually a loaf of bread, which has been becoming quite popular in town off late. As a matter of fact, Ruido had to wait for a whole hour in line to get his hands on it. As Ruido hands out more bread to his other people, Shinto can't believe that someone like him would spend so much time just for some confectionery. This makes sense now because earlier in the morning, Shinto was told that the captain would not be available in the morning. Due to this, he was asked to swing his sword a total of 500 times by the time Ruido came back. Now, it is revealed that the absence wasn't for some important mission, but rather for some fancy bread. Laurent takes a bite of it, and he can't believe how delicious it is. Shinto is still trying to come to terms with what is going on. Ruido simply tells him to take a bite, but it's really weird for our hero to do something like this to a chicken head. Anyway, he eventually does take a bite of the bread and is amazed by how delicious it actually is. Not only is the bread fluffy, filling is quite smooth as well. Shinto does not know where this taste is from, but it is most definitely not from Japan. It's a new experience for him, and feels even better because of all the training he had to do before. Of course, the appearance of this bread is not the best, but there's not much anyone can do about that. Ruido then goes on to explain how this bread is even more famous amongst the female members of the nation. There are also 3 skewer stands near the bread shop, all of which are very famous too. Shinto is immediately interested after hearing this, which makes Ruido a bit confused. Our hero brushes it off by saying he has only been inside the castle ever since he came to this world, so he has not known anything other than practice and training over here. Ruido does not understand what our hero is trying to say over here, so he asks him if he's feeling stressed already. That is definitely not the case, but Shinto has to act innocent, so he states that Ruido is right. The captain takes this chance to flex his impressive biceps, and he tells Shinto that he should just work out a lot. If he does this, then he'll be able to release all his stress. Ruido already starts thinking of some plans to increase the sword routine for Shinto, but before that, Alicia shows up, so he becomes alert. She greets Shinto by asking him if he's had a good day so far. Our hero acts cool and says that he's just happy to see her here. Ruido tells the evil princess that she has come at the right time because he has brought the famous chicken bread from the alley. It comes as no surprise that Alicia would like to try it as well, but she is not too interested in having it now. Instead, she would like to feed her love-craving dog, referring to Shinto, but of course this is what he wanted her to think in the first place. Ruido clearly seems to like teasing Alicia, so she wonders if he has ever thought about the stress he has given her rather than anything else. Anyway, Ruido shifts his focus back to Shinto and asks him to think about how he can deal with the stress he has been feeling lately. There are things he can do in the castle to resolve that issue, but Ruido doesn't tell him what is included in it. Shinto doesn't give an answer to this, so the captain tells him to swing his sword for another 200 times, which is definitely not what he had wanted to hear. After yet another hectic session, we move to the nighttime, but Shinto is not as tired as he was the previous night. As a matter of fact, he has turned to the dark side and is ready to try something shady in order to relieve all the stress he has picked up today. He is going to make the evil princess his submissive assistant tonight, and then we see Alicia sleeping innocently in her bed. Shinto is now going to try his teleportation skill to transfer Alicia to another world. He is also going to try out all the tools he collected from the last time. He's actually thinking of adding another small tool because he is now in villain mode. This item is the Shady Dream Eye cover, which has the ability to recover 100% of the target's stamina by showing her a particular dream. This dream has the hero consecutively doing shady things to her, which will strangely cause the target to feel shame while also falling in love with the hero. This is definitely something that Diddy and Epstein would create, and it gets even shadier when we see the hairpin of shame. This pin is invisible and will instantly disappear if it gets noticed by anyone, or if it falls off the hair. This pin creates a status for the target wherein she will constantly feel excited every single time she thinks about our hero. Shinto intends to let Princess Alicia enjoy these two items tonight, as they will be very important for her. Of course, Shinto can't just do whatever he wants before having a plan in place, so he must carefully think about any unexpected scenarios. If he doesn't do this, then he could be a lot more stressed, so Shinto runs all these situations in his head. First of all, he has to make all the maids and attendants disappear from the room, because they will get in the way of his fun, just like they did last time. Princess Alicia rolls around in her bed, while wearing the items Shinto prepared for her. And then he also adds a message for her to see with his additional skill. He enters a command on his magic screen which will tell Alicia she'll get transferred to Shinto's world if she stays too far away from him. Shinto writes the reason for this as dimensional disturbance caused by the summoning. In order to make sure Alicia only falls for him, our hero adds a factor stating that the dimension will only get worse if the princess gets freaky with someone of the opposite gender. He is going to make Alicia experience this for around 30 minutes to an hour, as this will be more than enough to make her cheeks turn red. After all the work is done, our hero stretches his body to relax, and then he checks if his tools manage to get the job done. He can see that Alicia is really going crazy in her sleep, as she is sweating profusely. With the skill's effect, it really does seem as if she is being violated by the hero in her dreams. Having said that, there is no way for Shinto to know this for sure, so it's all conjecture at this point. He activates his villain smile again and asks the princess if she is really dreaming about him. The sight of Alicia going bonkers is a bit too much to take, even for men of culture. The sounds and grunts she makes are more than enough to suggest her dreams are not innocent, and soon enough, Shinto gets the notification stating he has temporarily unsealed the key to Alicia's heart. This confirms she was dreaming about him, and this will greatly help our hero in his eventual mission. Now, he takes a look at the new skill he has unlocked, which tells him a skill lock feature will be added to his summoning ceremony. It has only been temporarily unsealed because Alicia has currently accepted our hero as her lover boy. However, if she has any negative thoughts about him, then the skill will get locked again. Overall, this is within what Shinto had expected, and he only cares about the temporary unsealing. Shinto gets the feeling that the evil princess is trying to resist the temptation of her dreams. And then suddenly, he unlocks his fourth skill, known as leveling. Our hero is glad he was able to do this, because it would not have been possible if he did not unlock the key to the princess's heart. He then goes on to check what kind of skill leveling is, because if it's anywhere close to Sung Jin-woo, then nobody will be able to defeat Shinto in this world. We learn that leveling allows any kind of practice to get exchanged into a level system. This system will convert experience points gained during practice sessions and real battle situations. Stat points will be gained through them, leading to a level increase, which in turn will increase mastery over skills. So yes, this is like solo leveling, although a much more toned-down version. More than anything else, this is similar to the games that Shinto used to play in Japan, and he knows the leveling skill will help him increase his daily performance. This is an unbelievable skill, so Shinto dearly hopes it does not get sealed again. Now, our hero believes the items from the third skill would have taken effect by now, but the fourth skill looks unsealed completely anyway. This means that the princess is enjoying the dream of being violated by our hero. Due to this, the key to her heart was unsealed without her knowledge, so this would have definitely been a crime in the real world. More importantly, with all these new realizations, Shinto believes he may have a genuine chance of returning to Japan now. In order for that to happen though, he will need to make Alicia completely open up her heart to him. This could actually be Shinto's destiny after coming to this world, but he never thought it would involve training Princess Alicia. Anyway, this means that training her shady thoughts during the night and meeting her regularly during the day will be crucial for Shinto to achieve his destiny. This is why he has no other choice but to make the princess cooperate with him, whether she likes it or not. From now, for every night without fail, he is going to make sure Alicia takes care of him in her dreams. The next morning, the princess wakes up and sees her hand wet with a certain kind of kitty liquid. She is blushing because she has had the shadiest dream of her life, but she needs to calm down, so she eats the chicken cream bread after having cream filled in her pie during the night. After this, she sees the message that Shinto had created earlier, telling her that she has to be next to him, otherwise she will get transferred to his world. On top of that, there is a penalty of having her intrusive thoughts increased if she uses her sealing skills. This is not at all preferable for her, but such is life when you have evil intentions. We shift to the training session where Ruido is training Shinto as well as other men regarding the 8th stance. Now as the training continues, Shinto walks us through everything he has learned so far. Number 1 is that his skills have been sealed by Princess Alicia. Number 2 is that he will need to unseal all of those skills if he wants to make it back to Japan. Number 3 is that all his skills will get unsealed once he clears the key to the princess's heart. Number 4 is that he will need to work hard to make Alicia open up her heart to him, since she already hates him a lot. Lastly, he was able to open up her heart and unseal his 4th skill of leveling, because the dream he showed her seemed to have worked. The moral of the story is that shady activities always come with solutions. Since Alicia loves getting violated, Shinto figures he will need to train her regularly with his 3rd skill. Moreover, he can't ever let her suspect him, otherwise it will be game over. Ruido prepares everyone for the 9th stance, and then Shinto admits he's always targeting Alicia's bad sides. But he does not really have a choice. After all, he has observed so far that the princess is a cunning girl, so he has to be careful. If she keeps having the same dream over and over again for each and every day, she will definitely suspect something. It will be an issue for Shinto if she ever decides to inspect what is going on with her, so he is treading lightly even with such a big advantage. Ruido is happy to see Shinto swinging properly today, so he encourages him to continue that way. In the middle of this intensity, Shinto is plotting 10 steps ahead and realizes he must think thoroughly before making any kind of move. He can't afford to be arrogant in this scenario because his own life heavily depends on it. He is determined not to leave any evidence or clues behind which may arouse any kind of suspicion. The strikes continue on the ground, and the plan continues in his mind. Having said that, he continues to play with the princess even later that night, almost as if his inner beast cannot be contained. When it all boils down, Shinto admits that it does not matter how much of a Giga Chad you may aspire to become. A man of culture will never back down from a golden opportunity. The next day arrives, and we see our hero in the middle of some push-ups along with the rest of the crew. This is followed by crunches, dumbbell curls, and jogging too, all of which can be done by Shinto properly now. Ruido notices this, so he asks our hero how he has become so energetic off late. He replies by saying he has to do this for the world, but accidentally says it's for the princess first. Ruido says he likes this attitude, but little does he know that Shinto does not care for either of those things. The truth of the matter is that he has actually leveled up with all the experience he gained during training, so his stats have increased dramatically. Our hero goes through all his stats and realizes that if he is seeing results already, then he can definitely go ahead with his main mission. As he sits down to eat his meal, Shinto tells us that the greatest achievement for him this time is not unlocking the fourth skill, but rather verifying the effect of the third skill. It's almost as if he is writing whatever he wants into a death note. It becomes real. This includes any kind of magical effect as well, so our hero can achieve pretty much anything with the third skill. It's pretty much like having a cheat code. So Shinto taps into his light Yagami aura and wonders if there is a way for him to brainwash Alicia and make her his slave girl. Of course, intervening into someone else's mind is always a bothersome task and also unpredictable. So Shinto comes back to reality. All of a sudden, Shinto comes up with the idea to create a suit that will not cause death to the person wearing it. He can do this with his skills and then hand over the item to the captain. Unfortunately for him, if he does this, then he will become useless as a hero, and the princess has a policy of ending those who cannot contribute any further. Thinking about this has actually made Shinto realize something very important, which he should have done a while ago. He can technically create a weapon to defeat the Demon King without even having to go to the battlefield. If he does that, then the problem of this world would get solved in an instant. At the same time, it means all of the efforts Shinto is undertaking for his training are all in vain. He gets upset because even Alicia must be knowing that all these sessions are of no use if he simply makes his weapon and gets the entire mess cleared. He scolds the evil princess by saying he can easily be sent back home without having to do any training, so she must be extremely dumb not to notice that. He curses Ruido as well for making him endure such hardships. These games being played by Alicia and Ruido have really gotten to Shinto now, but he has to behave himself because he can't let all his efforts go to waste. Later, as he eats some food, our hero thinks about leaving some farewell gifts for his opposition once he manages to find his way back to Japan. He then shifts his focus to Princess Alicia, who is once again in the library trying to figure out what's going on with her. Shinto decides that from this moment onwards, Alicia will be violated by the hero she hates, and she must feel her explosions as a punishment of that nightmare. Having said that, Shinto does realize that the princess has been spending way too much time inside the library off late. It will be a huge issue for him if she ends up finding a solution, so he hopes there is no record of his skills from the past. Alicia sighs as she closes yet another book, but our hero can't read her mind, so he laments the fact that the princess doesn't really talk to herself a lot. Suddenly, there's a bit of a tingle from her kitty down below, so she looks around to see if anyone else is in the library. Shinto is curious to see what will happen next, as even he is not able to see anyone else around Alicia. Now, the princess says out loud that things are getting really bad for her. This is because of her past few nightmares and how her body has been reacting to them. She has been seeing strange things since the summoning ritual as well, which gives Shinto a lot of context. He realizes that the dark things Alicia is talking about have to do with HM, because there hasn't been any other odd occurrence. The princess sighs again, leading our hero to wonder why she is doing this. She looks a lot more alluring today as well, meaning Shino's intrusive thoughts are coming to the fore. That's when he notices that Alicia is actually moving her hands all over her body to embark on a solo mission. There is no mistaking what the princess is doing, so Shino figures she is feeling a bit too excited now. Alicia even breaks a sweat and comments on how she is doing such shady things only because of her dreams. Shino realizes that it's the dreams that are making Alicia feel so hot and heavy now. It is due to the memories of the dream that the princess's hairpin of shame has gotten activated. And then there's the effect of feeling excited while thinking about the hero as well. It's the perfect combo, as Alicia can't get the dreams out of her head, so she has to keep thinking about Shino with shady intentions. Since she is like a villain who hates the hero of the story, it is rather shameful for her to have such intrusive thoughts in the first place. It is due to this very realization that the pride of the princess gets shattered. Of course, thinking about such things is lewd in the first place, so even Shino is a bit guilty of shady thoughts right now. Alicia now tells herself that she has to destroy the hero, whom she refers to as that thing, but she also says it's too bad because she seems to have developed some positive feelings towards him, although they are only physical for now. Of course, Shino wants her to keep thinking this way because it is only going to make her situation worse. Alicia laments that she does not know what to do now. On the one hand, she wants to rub her kitty cat, but on the other hand, she does not want to do it while thinking about the hero. Shino laughs at the situation and mockingly tells the princess that she must not say such things because they will only make her want him more. It's quite sinister to make your enemy feel shady every single time she thinks about you, but sometimes you need to set fire to the rain if you want to survive. Now, Shino comes up with another scary plan, which is actually a bit too evil to be coming from a hero. He is thinking of setting the dream in a way that Alicia feels as if she has been getting violated for decades. However, upon waking up, she'll realize that only one day has passed, which can seriously mess with her head. He quickly decides against it, but not for moral reasons. Once he is unable to unseal the skill lock, he will become useless, and that will prove to be a hassle. So, his best option is to make the princess even more shameful and shady without breaking her mental health. Of course, he is also eager to see her in person because if the target were to appear in front of Alicia, then she will have no other choice but to have intrusive thoughts. Shino figures he'll go to B and rest for a bit, but then he notices that the main fun has only just begun. Princess Alicia ends up getting her freak on by herself as she begins her solo mission with the finger flick 300. Shino can't believe what she is doing, but he is eager to see more of Princess Alicia in this state. Shino sits back and watches on as Alicia goes to town on herself without any inhibitions at all. The heavy breathing coupled with the aggressive rubs leads to a very intense session that our hero is unable to take his own eyes off. This goes on for a bit, but then Alicia stops all of it suddenly and tries to suppress her inner desires. The fun was only just beginning, so Shino gets upset over how abruptly Alicia has stopped herself. He laments the fact that the princess was able to hold back, but admits that the hairpin should not really be strong enough to make a princess break her pride and do such shameful things. However, this is not the end just yet, as we see Alicia once again huffing and puffing, after which she tries to fight her shady intentions once again. After a brief period of resistance, she gives in once again and spreads open the gates of shoddiness as she goes to town on her kitty cat. Shino can't believe his own eyes here as Alicia is not holding back anymore, even feeling up her own pillows for added sensation. He grunts and breaths grow louder with every second, and so does the moisture of her kitty cat. She even goes on to pull out her pillows so that she can suck on the pointers for even more sensation, which makes the view a bit too extreme for our hero. Shino is getting the show of a lifetime here, as the fluids keep coming out, as do the sounds from the princess. The intensity does not look like it's going to stop anytime soon, and Alicia even bangs against the desk in the process of relieving herself. The finger flick 9000 comes out to play, which is a deadly move in such scenarios. It's so effective that even Shinto falls to the floor after witnessing a sight that no man has ever witnessed before. The action continues for a few more seconds until another book is knocked off the desk, and Alicia starts to tremble now. There is no stopping her now, as she is going to make sure she achieves the explosion she has set out to gain. This is enough to make any man of culture lose his marbles, and Shinto is no different over here. His face turns red too, because he had most definitely not expected to see this today. The sucking, biting, and licking of pointers is what appeals to him the most, and he watches on because he's way too invested to let things go at this point. It sure feels like a long time, but in honesty, only a couple of minutes have passed since Shinto has been watching this NC-17 show. The outrageous nature of Princess Alicia's actions have led our hero to even put his hand on his mouth to cover his own surprise. In due time, she ends up having a massive explosion, and it's definitely something to be appreciated by men of culture all over the world. Shinto has enjoyed this thoroughly, but then he notices that someone is at his door, so he turns off his screen and gets up to avoid any kind of suspicion. He refreshes himself first because he does look a bit flustered himself, and he is actually very much worried about how things are going to turn out with such a troublesome princess. Her state right now is mostly due to the message he had sent her in her dreams earlier, and he can vouch for that because her libido has more than increased from that time. Alicia believes that this increase of libido is a side effect from sealing the hero skills, so she had no other choice but to relieve herself secretly in the royal library. He is thrilled over the fact that the princess does not even know about Shinto watching her perform such shady acts. Now, we see the princess resting at the desk because she needs to recover from the massive explosion she just had. Based on that look on her face, Shinto figures that she must have been suffering from that libido for a while. He then gets done with his tea and allows the maid into his room, who has been waiting by his door. The maid asks to clear up the dishes since our hero is done with his meal, so he decides to lend her a hand as well. Of course, this sweet and innocent exterior can't fool the viewers at Comic Guzzlers, who know that Shinto definitely has gone over to the dark side. He gets alerted when he hears Princess Alicia coming to her senses and commenting on how terrible things are right now. She laments why these thoughts are coming to her again and again, causing her to do the exact same thing again and again. It's all because of Shinto, and he knows it all too well. He mockingly tells the princess that he knows she is referring to him, and he is right here for her if she wants him so much. While Alicia calls Shinto a shameless beast, he simply gloats over the fact that his side dish today was the princess. Now, the maid gets done with the dishes and he thanks her for her service, after which she leaves the room. Then, we shift to Alicia once more as she says that she needs to find a way to end Shinto's life as soon as possible. He is, of course, hearing all of this, so he thanks the princess for giving him so much importance. After all, she is the one who needs to be prepared for him, and not the other way around. We move to the next day now, where Shinto is lying in bed feeling quite proud of himself and his antics. He has gone from a hero to a sage, and it's all thanks to the princess. Now, he can think calmly for himself, especially after his past realizations about his training being effectively useless. He was able to take out the stress on Alicia by making her do shady things in the library and also watching her in the process. As far as his own skills are concerned, he has finally gotten his fourth skill, meaning he can possibly return to Japan with it. This is rather exciting for Shinto, so he decides to try it out. He changes his mode from hero to sage, and then we see Alicia inside the library still trying to find some information on what is happening to her. Meanwhile, Shinto realizes something very important about his skills, especially otherworldly teleportation. As he has thought about the priority levels of his skills, Shinto figures that there is a contradiction for the teleportation one. For example, he talks about a spear which can penetrate anything and a shield which can block anything. In case the weapons contradict each other, there has to be a priority order between them, otherwise they will simply cancel each other out, leading to a stalemate. Even when Shinto can't create an overpowering effect like that, it is still dangerous to ignore such possibilities. Basically, if he were to ignore these things, then he would be rather clueless if he accidentally creates an item with a skill like unlimited cloning. If he is unable to cancel that effect, then it will leave a huge mess for Shinto and everyone around him. This would be such a catastrophic mistake that it could even put the entire world in danger. Back to Shinto now, he talks about skills with auto-functioning effects which are extremely dangerous to him. For example, with the hairpin of shame which he gave the princess, Shinto gave it a transparent effect, but he did not set its range. As we all know, transparency does not relate to color as it does not have a color at all, not even black or white. Shinto asks us what would happen if something has no color and is transparent, but then he himself wonders why he is talking about such odd things. Anyway, he goes back to the hairpin of shame which is supposed to be transparent like glass. This means the skill by itself is quite convenient. We then see Princess Alicia taking a picture with a phone while using the cat ear filter. It leads Shinto to say that it's enough for him when a skill works that way. But if a skill works in a way that goes beyond our hero's understanding and comprehension, he will be in trouble. This is very much a possibility that concerns him, and then we see Alicia posing in different ways with various filters. She does not like what she sees, so she throws the phone away in disgust. Of course, this is not happening in real time, but is just a figment of Shinto's imagination. He then imagines himself in prison behind bars, which could be the result of him going overboard with his skills. In his imagination, Shinto pictures himself yelling at the guards, demanding to know why they have hit him. He then curses everyone here to burn in a hellish flame in his imagination, which leads him to wonder if he will end up setting parameters that can hurt him back. Moreover, if his skills have a prolonged effect and can't be stopped, then this world will be nothing short of hell itself, just like Shinto is imagining his curse to end up burning him too. At this rate, he will need a safe solution if he is to make a difference, but he is still not sure what that will be. How is our hero going to deal with his new learnings? And will it actually be possible for the princess to fall in love with him? Like, share, and subscribe if you want to know more about how things are going to go from now on. Show this video some love, and I'll cover all the other chapters that are still available to read. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one. Shinto now hears someone knocking on his door, so he wonders if it's Alicia or perhaps Ruido. However, it's a maid girl who tells him that the training schedule for the afternoon has changed. Our hero is expected to be there in the next 30 minutes, but he is confused as to why this is the case. He then tells us that things which last long are often the most terrifying. As far as his training is concerned, it will only last for 3 months, so that should be fine for him. Shinto laments that all of this is because of the princess, but then he figures something out when considering the skill lock. Basically, the heroes in the past did not have their skills sealed off, because Shinto managed to decipher this from the hint Alicia gave him. The skill lock seems to be a new move created by the curvy princess, which means that the heroes from the past may have already had the cheating ability right from the start. If that is the case, then why is the Demon King still a threat even now? After all, the cheat skill could have been used to end him once and for all, thus making the past heroes true giga-chads. Then again, it could be that the Demon King is someone who gets reincarnated every 100 years. Anyway, the hero's skills could have durability too, because anyone else could become the Demon King if that wasn't the case. With all things considered, it's highly possible that the Demon King has heirs as well. With all the conspiracy theories and rabbit holes on offer, the wildest one is that the Demon King is actually a former hero. Shinto explains to us that a cheat skill such as instant death can end many people within a wide area. So, If this kind of skill is to be added to a body that does not need food, water, does not have any weakness, and also possesses an immense magical power, then it could make for the ultimate enemy, like a demon king. Shinto does not understand why a hero would go on to do something as reckless and scary as this, but then again, people with such skills do fit that profile. For an example, he compares how he would carefully select his clothes if he were to go shopping, but someone like Alicia would probably just buy the whole store. Then, he also thinks of a man like Ruido, who would brainlessly just charge and attack anyone if they were suspected of doing something evil. They really are opposing personalities, as Shinto is more of the bread kind of guy, whereas Isekai'd is the cake girl, and Ruido is the meat guy. These comparisons are a bit confusing, so it makes no sense to cover them further on Comic Guzzlers. Shinto gets back to talking about humans, and he says that anyone with a cheat skill is most likely to believe that they can do the impossible. After all, skills are like tools, and it all depends on the people using them. Bro has used his big brain energy a bit too much, so he decides to think about the rest later, when he's done with training. He's feeling lazy for sure, but such is life. Before we move ahead in the story, it's time for a bonus chapter, so we move to the nighttime where Shinto is stuck in deep thought. He thinks about what he did a few days ago to make Alicia believe that the summoner's blessing is real. Of course, our hero had prepared many different plans for that, with lots of suspicious outfits. There was one particular outfit that looked so good, it even became the thumbnail of the previous video for the Men of Culture on Comic Guzzlers. Then again, things are not as simple as they seem, especially because all of Shinto's outfits and plans require a huge price. Of course, if he is able to use his third skill in battle, then it will more or less become a necessity. Keeping all of this in mind, Shinto decides that he will start typing today. Shinto takes unexpected effects and adds them to the system, after which he is able to make a skill tree for easier viewing. In order to master this, Shinto will need to type as soon as thoughts enter his head. He does this right now and starts typing his thoughts in instantly. It begins with the princess in a shady outfit, but Shinto thinks it's not bad because it stimulates his intrusive thoughts. Simply thinking about the outfit is not that hard, as we now see Alicia in a dom outfit handing out punishment. All of these outfits were thought of after seeing a candle, so Shinto now takes a look at some bread for a more flexible idea. The outfit that arises from this is quite cute and nice, so to explain how this works, our hero explains his process. When he saw the bread, he started typing, but it took him more time, during which he thought of the story of Hansel and Gretel. He does not have any idea of the clothes these characters wore, but with Alicia looking so fine, Shinto does have taste. However, mistakes like these can spell bad news for him and get him cooked, so he needs to be more careful. Based on this, he now looks at a clock and comes up with another outfit. It actually translates to Alicia embarking on a solo mission filled with shoddiness, and it goes on for a few positions. Even so, Shinto is happy that he is able to type with such detail without even realizing it, so he's fairly skilled now. However, he needs to be a bit careful because he should not use references from the fairy tales he knows of. Our hero has to make a really flexible idea, so he focuses and tries to look like an aura farmer in thought. He looks at a book, then a teapot, then a desk, and finally a closet for his new invention. However, he comes up with a series of images and outfits that are not only shady in visuals but also in actions. These images are nice, but unfortunately for Shinto, they are nothing like what he had in mind. Perhaps this just means that he is filled with intrusive thoughts. Judging from this, he can deduce that there is a fine line between being flexible and going off topic. And that concludes our bonus chapter. Now, we are back to the story as we see Shinto in the middle of his training. Nothing suspicious is going on as of now, and he decides to take a small break for now. At that very moment, Alicia shows up and says good morning to our hero like a good girl. Shinto greets her too, but then he continues to look at her, prompting the princess to ask if there is something on her face. Shinto may wish it was his elephant water, but he just says that Alicia's beauty caught him off guard. Of course, this was just him being deceptive, as he mainly wanted to check his hairpin of shame was still on Alicia. She's still wearing it, so that means she should be feeling extra thirsty right now. Shino notices that Alicia has a slight blush on her cheeks, which could be because of the fact that she just did a whole solo session thinking about him. The look on Alicia's face suggests that she still wants more, which is a good thing for Shino, as his skill has turned out to be quite amazing. Now, the princess becomes a bit conscious because of how Shino is staring at her, so she says that if he continues to look at her this way, then it makes her feel a certain way. Alicia closes in on Shino even more, so he wonders what's going to happen. Luckily, she just says that this makes her feel nervous, and she doesn't do anything shady with him. Shino is amazed that even despite the hairpin affecting her, Alicia is still able to maintain her composure. She clearly seems to be quite strong when it comes to mental fortitude. Now, the princess hands over a drink to Shino and tells him to drink it to relieve his fatigue. Our hero wonders why Alicia still wishes to play her mind games with him. Shino even believes that the princess could be using her delicate state to try and throw him off guard. This would make her a really scary opponent. Shino has to be careful, so he considers whether Alicia is strong enough to overpower the hairpin of shame, or maybe she has figured a way around it. However, he needs to regain his composure because he knows what Alicia was doing to herself in the library just before this. The hairpin was what made this happen, so Shino needs to have more faith in himself. Basically, Alicia may have had her solo mission to relieve herself and be more in control for this current exchange. So, the pin is still very much working and in effect. Our hero can't afford to doubt his own skill now, because if he does, then this princess will easily devour him like her prey, that too with her kitty cat. Shino regains his calm and drinks the potion like a total Giga Chad. He thanks Alicia for the potion, and she is glad to be of help. Now, Shino has something else he would like to ask the princess, so he points to the library, where her kitty water would still be on her seat. The mere mention of the library makes Alicia very alarmed, but she keeps herself focused because she must maintain her image of being a fancy girl. Shino says that he would like to read about the past heroes in this library, so that he can prepare himself in the best possible way. Alicia blushes and says that she will talk to her father about it, but then our hero says that he still has one other request to talk about. Alicia is surprised to hear about this, so she asks what kind of request this is. Shino reminds her that on his first day, he had asked the king for an advisor. Alicia is supposed to be unsettled by this, but she plays an Uno reverse and says that she will be the advisor to our hero. She asks him to share all of his burdens and doubts with her whenever he needs to, and even holds his hands as she says it. Alicia smiles and says that she will take care of anything for Shino, which is a dream come true for most men, but not our hero. He does thank the princess for her offer, but maintains that she is a real threat. He thought that mentioning the library would throw her off track, but instead, she countered with a great response. There is one mistake she has made though, which is that her hand is slightly trembling, which Shino could feel when she held him. She can brush it off with any kind of excuse, but our hero knows the real reason for it, so she can't get away here. After all, there's only so much she can do to keep herself stable in her current state. Having said that, Shino has to admit that Alicia's resolve is quite impressive. Despite the effects of the hairpin, she has not given up any ground today, so she is a worthy opponent for Shino. Because of this, she has gained his respect. It turns out that the main battle over here is not with the Demon Lord, but rather between Shino and Alicia, both of whom are using their big brain energies to beat the other. Our hero considers Isekai'd to make some big moves next, and he is looking forward to them. Now, we move to the night time as someone appears in front of Shino's door and knocks at it. He's just done getting ready, so he asks who it is. The voice reveals that the woman at the door is none other than the princess herself. Shino opens the door and notices that she is standing in front of him, wearing some rather alluring attire. Naturally, Shino is confused as to why Alicia is here at this time of night, but the men of culture at Comic Guzzlers are familiar with this trope. Alicia says sorry for disturbing Shino at such a late hour, but she is really looking fine in that dress. Shino starts to calculate why Alicia is here at such an odd hour, that too wearing a dress that is practically as good as a birthday suit. Before our hero can come to any conclusions, Alicia says that there is something she needs to tell him before the day is over. Shino is really looking forward to what happens next, but to his surprise, Ruido randomly barges into the room. Shino is really confused as to why he is here, but Ruido only talks about how this is his first time seeing his room. Our hero had thought that the hairpin was having an effect on the princess, but upon closer inspection, he notices that the pin isn't even there. The flushed look on Alicia's face could be because she has just taken a bath, which means that she could have taken off the pin during her bath. This was really misleading, and now bro knows what it's like to be betrayed by a woman's alluring behavior. Anyway, it's time to get down to business, as Alicia tells Shino that 2 days from now, in the morning, she would like to go on a monster hunt. He does not understand why he needs to hunt monsters all of a sudden, but Alicia says that Ruido has spoken greatly of how our hero has improved his combat abilities. Ruido agrees with the princess, although he does admit that Shino still gives off a weak aura, so he's no Sung Jin Woo. Having said that, our hero is still improving at a rapid rate, so it's time to put his abilities to the test. Alicia asks him earnestly to do this, but it's not like Shino can say no, so he agrees. He is annoyed that he does not have a good read on the situation or the sudden request. Something definitely happened while he was taking a bath, but we don't know what it was. Either way, things are going to get very interesting for Shino. What happens next? Well, we'll have to wait till the next few chapters are out. But what is the deal with this odd request to fight monsters? Does Alicia have something up her sleeve? How is Shino going to react to this situation? Will he actually be able to win the princess over to his side? All shall be revealed when the manga has more chapters released. Like, share, and subscribe if you're taking a shine to Shino. This manga doesn't have many chapters out, so I'll do my best to cover the rest when it does release. As of now, there doesn't seem to be much else, so please support this video. That way, I'll remember to keep checking for other parts. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.